Hello and welcome to this video on diffusing hostility. In order to support positive conflict management, or indeed avoid the need for it in the first place, it's really useful to learn how to diffuse hostility. So first of all, you would use your emotional intelligence here, beginning by examining yourself and identifying if your own behaviour or your own management style is influencing the other person's behaviour. It might be useful to have a confidential conversation, talk to a friend or a colleague, and discuss ways that you could better address the situation. When you then go to approach the difficult parent, the person you're having a problem with, make sure that you use I messages to communicate your own personal experience of the situation and stay respectful. Using I messages with parents is really powerful because it reminds them that you are, as well as being a teacher, human. And then follow up, but decide whether or not you need a follow-up discussion, and also consider if it would be useful to include a colleague as a third party or even escalate it to a member of the management team. And under these circumstances, it's useful to repeat a mantra before you go into the difficult situation. I will not allow the difficult, unpleasant relationship to make me upset, angry or frustrated. I will not allow this person to ruin my day or make me unhappy, because in the scheme of things, this person is not important enough to control my life. You don't have to like a difficult parent, but for your own benefit, you should continue to act professionally and calmly and try to avoid anything that will prolong the interaction. This is for your benefit. So the principles of diffusing hostility begin with dealing with the person's feelings first. The unpleasant emotions that I mentioned in earlier videos, like anger, inhibit our logical reasoning. If you acknowledge the other person's feelings using listening responses and empathy statements first, you will then be able to move forward and move on to dealing with the issue. So listening responses that express to the parent that you're listening and you hear what their problem is, you hear what they're saying to you, you hear how they feel. And empathy statements, I understand how you feel. I can see how you feel. It can be very powerful. You want to begin to diffuse the hostility as early as possible. So use your understanding of body language to identify the other person's emotions, how they're feeling, and diffuse them using an empathy response. Oh, you look like you're really upset with something, what's wrong? This acknowledges their feelings and it positions you both on the same side. You're on their side against the problem. Being assertive is very important. Don't allow yourself to be bullied. You have a right to take an action or impose consequences if someone oversteps the line, even a parent. Make an assertive statement to refocus the conversation back on the issue. I will help you sort this out. In order to help you, I need you to slow down and answer a few questions. Be firm, be clear, be assertive. If the parent persists in being nasty, you are well within your rights to give them consequences. If you can answer my questions, I can help you. If you continue to raise your voice, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. The critical message here is that you are not going to allow the parent to control you by making you angry or upset. Stay calm. Take the "it isn't going to work with me" attitude. If you lose control, you lose. Self-control is critical, controlling our own behaviour. You might feel angry or upset. In fact, you're entitled to feel angry or upset, but you choose how you react and you control your behaviour. Take a deep breath. Think about how you can create less anger and upset on both sides. Pay special attention to the speed and volume of your speech here. Talking quickly and loudly can cause the other person to escalate. And the faster you speak, the less time you have to think about what you're saying, and the more likely you are to say something destructive. And if you need to, take a time out. It isn't a good time for me to talk about this now, but I would like to discuss it with you tomorrow. Can we set up a time to meet? You're giving the parent the understanding that you are willing to talk about the problem, but you are also taking yourself away from that hostile situation, which means in the end you're going to reach a more positive conclusion. Focus on what you want to get out of the situation. If you focus on side issues or personal attacks, negativity, that's what the conversation will be all about. Choose to focus on a constructive solution, and that's what you will achieve. And finally, don't take the bait. Let it go by. It's got nothing to do with the conversation. It's just a control ploy, trying to get control of the conversation. You can acknowledge the other person's feelings, fine, but then refocus on what you want and move on. A nice handy tool for helping you keep control under fire is using ESP, empathy, state how you feel, propose a solution. So here's an example of using ESP. I understand how you feel. However, when you shout at me, I feel you do not respect me. So I propose that you either speak to me calmly and politely, or we end this conversation immediately. You're giving a clear I statement. You're showing that you understand the parent's feelings, you're being empathetic, but you're also being assertive, proposing that solution. If you're stuck, there are some magic phrases you can use to give yourself a mini timeout. That's interesting. Tell me more. That's interesting. Why would you say that? That's interesting. Why would you do that? That's interesting. Why would you ask that? These are really useful little phrases, because a lot of the time the reason why they would say do or ask that is because they're trying to control the conversation, and the parent is not going to be willing to admit to that. So it's going to give them pause, which is going to give you time to think and time to rethink what you're trying to say. So I've talked a lot about diffusing hostility, and the best tool to support this is your own assertiveness. Assertiveness focuses on facts and feelings. It helps you control how you feel, and it allows you to recognise everyone's rights in the situation. It is a positive approach to dealing with a difficult situation. So to be assertive, you need to be honest about what's relevant, and this leads to a rational discussion and leaves aside personal attacks and angry responses. You need to stick to your bottom line. So this is what we spoke about before, deciding what is negotiable, what you're willing to concede, and what is non-negotiable for you, and stand your ground. Don't give on things that are important to you. And finally, make it clear that you're negotiating as equals. You want to find a solution that's acceptable to everyone. You want to listen to their suggestions and offer alternatives, and above all, always stay calm. So, a little bit of homework for you. Download the Characteristics of Difficult People handout from the class stream, and you're going to complete this. Read the descriptions of each type of difficult person and make a note of what methods you could use to deal with this type of person. When you're done, upload your completed task on the Google Classroom and have a little look at other people's ideas. I'll leave you with that homework now. Goodbye.